Hi, this is Gunnut226 here with a video on lubrication of the Sig Sauer P226 9mm, which I actually just got done a cleaning video on. So now we're going to do some lubrication. First off, I'm going to take the slide. Now, I typically like to over oil things, so I've been told. So I'm only going to use a couple drops of oil to treat the slide here. You just want to rub it in nice and good all over the slide. And that's probably too much. You can see all the residue on there. Way too much oil. You only need like 1 drop or 2 drops probably. That's all I really used. Just to give it a nice treat. So let's try 1 drop on this side. Oh, 2 drops again. So, I'll wipe the excess off in a little bit here. But I like to keep everything at least treated, because we know that it likes to absorb water out of the air, moisture, or whatever's in there. Just try to keep things very lubricated, keep everything treated well, so we don't get any rusting, which is since I like to over oil things, I'm kind of surprised at the problem that I've had with my Kimber Custom 2 recently. I've had some rusting on the barrel. Now don't really see that with any other gun that I have, so I'm not really sure why that one is rusting on me. I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but I want to make sure I don't put too much oil on there. But I want to make sure the important spots get enough oil. So I'll put 1 little drop in here. I like to put a little drop here. Should probably use just using some rim oil. I've been told that CLP works pretty good. Actually, probably a lot better. So I might check some of that out sometime. Various people recommend various things. Everybody has their own preference when it comes to this kind of stuff. Just use the basic stuff, basic rim oil. Seems to work pretty well. I haven't had any problems with my firearms being non-operational. So we'll drop here. Just want to be sure not to over lubricate things, because then you'll have a tendency for the powder to stick even more, and that just makes cleaning even more difficult than it already is. Here we can start the reassembly process here pretty soon. Now in the barrel, a couple drops of oil. I don't need much. Now here's an important part where a lot of the friction happens in the chamber area. I'm going to make sure to get some good oil on there. You don't want to over oil, but you still want to get enough lubrication in there that you're not going to have a lot of issues later on. If you get a little too much, you can wipe it off. Yeah, it looks decent. Cool. Now, here, there's a couple different areas that I put just little drops of oil. Right here in this housing, I usually put a little drop of oil right there. And usually that's way too much. So just get in there and wipe it out a little bit. And that looks almost perfect. I don't know if you can really see in there, but that looks good to me. Now a lot of this other stuff here, I mean the cleaner that we used, you can see, it's a cleaner, lubricant, and preservative. So using this oil, I mean it really helps preserve things, but at the same time you don't want to use too much. So just one little drop here, just like to rub it into the frame, get everything, so the same before, might be a little much, but I'd rather have a little more than not enough and have a problem with rusting or something later on. Especially I don't really plan on using this in the immediate future, so maybe a little bit extra oil is called for. But you don't want to have too much, like I said. You don't want it to get all gummy, and it gets really hot out. It can start gumming up on you, get sticky, and it'll really attract the dirt, and you don't want that. So just take some of the excess off. Gives it that nice look once you got a little bit of oil soaking into the pores of the metal. Doesn't have that dry look. Gives it that nice look. You also don't want it to be too slippery in your hands. If it gets hot out, the oil will get thin and it'll start going everywhere. You don't want it to come out and your gun becomes slippery. That's no good. So that looks pretty decent. Now for the rails, I like to use this. It's called Shooter's Choice. For some reason, it's becoming more difficult to find. I couldn't even find it at the gun show that I went to recently. Not sure what's going on with it or if it's still available. I'm going to look online for it again. Hopefully I'll be able to find it. But you don't need much of this either. Just need a little bit for the rails. So let's just put a couple drops. Oops, way too much. As usual. And then some on this side. Oops. It's not good. So that looks pretty good. You don't want to put too much, but then again you want enough. Anywhere you see some wear, you want to maybe a little extra. So everything looks nice and lubricated. It'll ride nicely on those rails. And we're going to take this. Need to put a little bit on. Just from the rag. You don't want a whole lot, like I said. But anywhere there's wear, you want a little bit extra. So let's put this back together. Slide this back into position. And you can see I'm over oiled once again. Make sure everything's nice and just take this front little wipe, and I know people say use non-shedding. I just use an old washcloth. It seems to work out pretty well for me. So just wipe some of this excess off here. Excess oil, excess grease, whatever we got going on. And you see, you can always tell you have too much oil by when you see this, the oil spatter. I mean, you clean it off real nice. It looks pretty, right? You can see this really well. You go like this a few times, and you have a little bit of oil spatter all over your gun. It means you got too much oil, or too much grease, or too much something in there. So, yeah, I'm notorious for that. I'm getting better. I've only been doing this 20 years, so hey, it's a learning process. So that's pretty much it. That's all I got for you today. Fully reassembled, ready to go. Just need to load it up. Anyway, if you have any other questions, comments, please post them or send me a PM. If you like my videos, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.